Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatimatul Binti Azam. I'm a student in Department of Civil Engineering, Kuliah Engineering IIUM. So today I will present my FYP1 entitled Analysis of Soak and Unsoaked California Berry Moisture Test on different type of soil. So my supervisor is IR Dr. Norhidayu Kasim. She have been guiding me in this project. Alright, firstly, I will briefly introduce my project. The problem statement of this project is flood and heavy rainfall that affects the road and highway performance. As we all know, in Malaysia, we will experience heavy rainfall at least once a year, especially during monsoon season. So, recently, we encountered a very bad experience of flood in Pahang and Johor area. This flood will cause damages to infrastructure, structures, buildings, and roads. And project objective is to determine the effect of soaking period on CBR value, the CBR value in pavement design, and the effect of type of different soil to the CBR value. Next is the methodology. So this pioneer project is the lab and experimental project. The scope of this project is the CBR values that used in pavement design, especially in Malaysia, and the soil used in this pavement design. The report organization of this project is we have 5 chapters: chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5. So the first chapter is about this introduction, and chapter 2 is literature review. Chapter 3 is the methodology. Chapter 4 is the result analysis from the experimental procedure. And chapter 5 is the conclusion. For this final year project is future work for the FYP2. Next, I will present the literature review. So there are several topics in this literature review, but there are some that I wanted to highlight on. Firstly is the laboratory and field CBR test. So CBR test can be done either in the lab or at the site area. So this is the CBR test apparatus that we will do in the lab. And this is how they do the in situ test at the site area. And next is the soak and unsoaked CBR. So there are many researchers that wanted to find the relationship between soak and unsoaked CBR, and also they come out with CBR predictive models. So in CBR predictive models, we have regression analysis and neural network analysis. Where regression analysis is like you can use Excel to find the relationship using the graph. And neural network analysis is actually like artificial intelligence where they can determine and predict the CBR value. Next is the application of CBR industry. So in Malaysia, we follow the guidelines and standards set by the Public Work Departments of Malaysia, or also known as TKR, Jabatan Kerja Raya. So in Public Work Department of Malaysia, they stated that if we wanted to design for pavement, we need to determine the CBR, and there are minimal requirement for the CBR value, etc. Okay, next I will proceed with the methodology of this project. So this project is actually a lab and experimental based project. The first thing that I need to do is to prepare the sample. So for sample preparation, I'm proposing to use sandy and clay soil, as in Malaysia we have abundance of clay soil such as alluvial soil. For unsoaked CBR test, we can perform instantly after we prepare the sample and we can get the result on the same day. However, for soaked CBR test, there are some period that I have proposed. So there are 5 different periods: 1 day, 2 days, 4 days, 7 day and 14 days. The reason I'm choosing 2 days is because based on my findings, the CBR value did not um, reduce much after 2 days. 4 days is the requirement by Public Work Department for design purposes. And 7 day is the typical days that flash flood might happen, that will happen in duration of 7 days. And 14 days is like the maximum duration of flash flood to happen. In this project, I'm using modified and standardized guidelines in H2 Designation 1 T1 and 2. Lastly is my conclusion and future work for FIP2. For this FIP1, since I didn't do the lab yet, so what I can say from my finding is that the soaking period will cause changes in CBR value as the soil strength affected by the presence of water. As the soaking period increase, the CBR value will decrease, which means the strength will be reduced. So for my future work in FYP2, I've divided into 2 stages. For the first phase is before the mid-break, and the second phase is after the mid-break. So the first phase mainly focus on lab and experimental works. Meanwhile, for the second phase, I located it for the report writing. This is the Gantt chart that I planned for my FYP2. So during the first 4 weeks, I will do the lab procedure for specimen 1, for the type of soil sample 1, and for the specimen 2, I will do it after the week, after I've settled with the first specimen, which is in week 5 until week 7. So that means that I've done the experiment in the first phase. For the second phase, I allocated the time for report writing and also the presentation and the end of my final year project one. I think that's all from me. Thank you for your time and generous attention. I'll end with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.